Welcome to the Jeff Knows Inc. Entrepreneurial Show with your host, Jeff Lopes.
We are live on the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lopes. We got a special guest today, Mike Ciorrocco. Is it Ciorrocco?
Ciorrocco.
How are you, brother?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
You know what? Let's start that again. I hate that kind of stuff. So Ciorrocco, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Let's start again. Ciorrocco.
Yep.
We are live on the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lopes. I'm super stoked today to have Mike Ciorrocco on. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? My friends call me C-Roc, by the way, Jeff, and so you can call me C-Roc.
C-Roc, that is awesome, man. Thanks for coming on, man. How's everything going with you?
Thanks for having me, man. Great. I'm going crazy, trying to just continue to pack my schedule and make stuff happen. Take myself, my family, and anybody that's on board with me into outer space.
I love it. When I start off, I always kind of just get our audience to know what you're currently doing, where you are in your life, and then we'll take the conversation from there. So what are you up to now? I know you're coming up with a book and you have a whole bunch of ventures happening right now. So let's start with that, and then we're going to talk about a ton of stuff, and I'll just pick your brain as we start talking.
Yeah, so I'm an area manager for Nations Lending. I have a group of 40-some employees. My best friends and I run that. Home loans in the Mid-Atlantic of Maryland and surrounding areas, and then also southeastern Florida, Miami. I decided that mortgages, although a great vehicle for what I'm trying to do, is not necessarily my passion. I want to continue to scale that business, but my passion is building people, Jeff. And so I started a company called People Building, which talks about and helps people build certain areas of their life that hold them back in business, relationships, finances, etc. So we work on things like communication, leadership, and emotional response and other things. So
when did you launch that company?
This year we launched it.
Fresh.
Yeah. So we were doing it in our organization. I was waking up every day thinking to myself, man, what am I doing every day? Like, what do I do? And I'm a people builder. Like I build people. So, we wanted to do that in our organization, but it's not working fast enough for me. Like I can't scale fast enough for what I want to achieve. So I started thinking to myself, how can I get known globally to be a people builder and then help tons of companies? Yeah. And so that's where the idea got started. And then in last year, we just went nuts with it. Started a podcast called What Are You Made Of? And I'm writing a book called Rocket Fuel.
So how's your podcast going? When did you start your podcast?
I started my podcast a year ago.
Yeah.
And just put out an episode a week for a while. And then it just got so popular. I felt like I gotta do more. So I put 2 episodes out a week.
You do 2 full episodes a week?
Yeah. And I started getting a lot of great guests that wanted to come on and share their story of what they were made of.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing how the world of podcasts, how it's evolved and just exploded right now, especially with the pandemic. A lot of people are at home and it feels like there's a podcast starting every week almost, which is incredible, right? It's a new level of entertainment in a way, right? And education in a way too, education as well. So with your prior company, are you an actual owner or you actually work for the company?
So the mortgage company?
Yeah.
Yeah, I work for that company, but we run the division like a P&L, just like a business.
Yeah.
But Nations owns it.
And how long have you been there with that company now for?
I've been there going on 3 years, and I've been in the mortgage business since 2006. So we had a successful group prior to that as well, but we just had to pick up and move. Long story short, it wasn't the great culture there, and we had to figure out a way to, culture's your foundation. So we made sure that, we went someplace new that had a great culture, and that's why we left after 12 years of being at the other place.
So I always dive into, let's start the journey off. Like C-Roc as a kid, like how were you? Were you very ambitious to be an entrepreneur? Were you very always outgoing, very active? Like how were you growing up and where did you grow up?
I grew up in southeastern Pennsylvania outside of Philadelphia and then into Maryland, the northeastern part of Maryland. Yeah. A lot of people in my family were entrepreneurs. My grandfathers, uncles, my dad were all masons or plaster stucco guys.
Yeah.
And they had their own business. I grew up watching that. And so, I don't know if I was destined to do that. I just know that I want to create the path of where I'm going. Yeah, I don't want anybody else controlling that. However, what people make a mistake a lot of times is when you're the boss and running a company that people think that people work for you, and really it's the opposite. You work for other people, and that's fine with me. I just want to control the ship. It's direction, basically. So
yeah, 100%. So is this your actual first taste of being an entrepreneur? I know you said you obviously managed the company, you did all that. Is this your first taste of actually, like you said, controlling your own ship, or you've had other companies in the past?
No. So I was a real estate agent back in 2000, early 2000s, running my own real estate group. And then I got into the mortgage business and became a loan officer first, but then from there, management, and then into what I'm doing now, which is an entrepreneur. It's
100%.
It's basically the profits of the company that my group come to me
Yeah.
and my partners. And that's how, it's just like a business. But, and then after that, beyond that, we had a marketing company, 10 years ago, and we still have that. And then also people building is what we're doing now. So no, I've been doing this for a while, and it's not really much new to me. So
with your current company that you guys are focusing on, how many partners do you have? You say we all the time. How many partners do you have
so
there?
my 3 best friends work with me, and I grew up with them since we were 10 years old. So it's an awesome opportunity. It can also be a liability as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
Well, a lot of times what happens, people don't like to hold each other accountable, especially when you're, related or friends with people.
Yeah, of course.
But one thing I figured out is that I don't hold back. Like if I need to be held accountable, I want that. I crave that. I know that's needed for my success, and I need to do that for other people. And if I'm doing it, it's not being a jerk or causing problems in a relationship. It's me caring about that person and caring for the team to get to a higher level. And if that person ever doesn't understand it, I'll be clear to explain it to them. But if they still can't understand it, maybe they don't belong in the group or the partnership.
Yeah, 100%.
So
yeah.
that's something a lot of people are scared. And Jeff, I think a lot of people are scared in general to hold people accountable because they're not holding themselves accountable.
Yeah, that's
so
a
they
great
don't feel
perspective
like
of looking at it. 100%. Yeah, I mean, partnerships are like I've had numerous companies and partnerships. I've tried 2 times with partnerships. Both times they haven't worked, and it's not the individuals, because till this day we're actually one of the companies. 2 of the individuals are still dear friends to me. So I found it was not the individuals. I found it was the individuals' families, their wives. Like I'm pretty lucky when it comes to all the businesses and all the organizations I've ever built. My wife is very independent. She likes her 9-to-5 job. She wants to have her independence. We've been married for 17 years. Believe it or not, we don't have a bank account together. She has her bills. I have my bills. We never argue about money. We have a fantastic relationship. And one of the last businesses I ran with partners, as soon as we opened it, it was 5 partners altogether, which was we were trying to franchise something out. And it was all of a sudden, one wife wanted the work reception, another wife wanted, and it was like, they're always involved, always around. And my wife was never around, never involved. And it was just this constant argument, constant friction. So I had 2 bad experiences, but I've also heard amazing experiences like yourself. So it's just that balancing, finding the right connection, and you said, holding somebody accountable, like don't let nothing pass. I think is such an important lesson for people to learn, what you just said, which I love that part of it. So where do you see this company going over the next coming years? Because you are putting a lot of fuel to the fire right now, and we're going to talk about your book in a sec, but where would you like to see this company evolve to?
Well, basically it's going to be a situation where once somebody gets a taste of it, they're going to want to have more, and then they're not going to want to live without it, because as you add more people into your company and scale, you're going to need to make sure these folks are built properly.
100%.
What I mean by that, look, I mean, we're not trying to change people's lives in like who they would vote for necessarily, kind of thing, or what church they go to, or those kind of things. We're trying to talk about things that can affect your business, your finances, and make you less stressed and happy. And so that matters to us, because here's the thing. I came from a broken home, and I don't remember my parents ever together. So I've seen a lot of conflict in my life. I've seen a lot of broken people. I've been around alcoholics, drug addicts. My grandmother committed suicide when I was in, late teenager. And so I've seen a lot of things that I'm just not okay with sitting back and letting it happen and running from it. So what I want to do is I want to have an impact on helping people that want help, because if you're trying to help somebody that doesn't want help, they end up resenting it, right?
100%.
But when I was 11 years old, I was living with my dad at the time, and I went through a lot of psychological and mental abuse. A lot of conflict was going on with my parents and step parents, and child support and custody battles, all this jazz.
Yeah.
And I decided to move in with my mom at the time, and my dad wasn't happy about that. And basically, my dad, my hero, was a mason, laid brick, like the bricks behind me, block, poured concrete. He always had big forearms from holding the blocks, and his hands were real rough. And I always looked up to him for being a hard worker. And like that, when I shook his hand, I felt the work that he put in and the pain that it took him to do that. Yeah. And he always carried a lot of $100 bills around in his pocket. And again, I looked up to him for that. I had a rubber band around it and all that. And he flashed it. So, but when he found out I wanted to move with my mom, he asked me, "Are you sure you want to do that? Your mom doesn't have that much money. So they're not well off there." And I had already made my mind up. My mom told me, anything that you believe in, you have to stick to your guns. Because if you don't stick to your guns in something that you believe in or a decision you made, there's going to be people that are going to be ready to talk you out of it. Or if you're advancing, to pull you back down to their level to justify where they are and the fact that they've given up. So I remembered that at that moment, and she told me that. So I said to my dad, "Yeah, it's not open for discussion anymore." And he said, "Okay." So that wad of $100 bills that he carried around, he pulls it out, peels one off, crumples it up, and he throws it at me and says, "Then you're going to need this when you're living on the streets with your mother one day." And, you know, I'm 11 years old and this is happening. If you can imagine an 11-year-old kid sitting there, his hero, throwing in the towel on him. And, you know, I'm stubborn to a fault, which is a strength and a liability.
Yeah.
And I, you know, basically said to my head, "That ain't happening. Like that's not going to happen." And secondly, I was always thinking I was in an ordinary situation. Like I didn't know any different. I thought this is what it was supposed to be like, which I found out obviously later that it's not.
Yeah.
And I thought, I can't be the only one in this situation. And I'm going to, like, not only just prove him wrong, but I need to now at this point, I need to take this and show people that you can overcome something like this when people give up on you. And by the way, Jeff, I'm not saying that I'm like, I came from the worst situation. I know people had it worse. I'm just telling you that telling your audience my story. But not only that, anybody can take anything, no matter what they've dealt with, and turn it and convert it into fuel for the future. And so that's the big impact that I have in my life that I've driven off of 30 some years. And about 3 years ago, I decided, I became aware of it and decided I need to bottle this and get this out to people because I see the impact. And so that's a little background of, where I'm coming from and why my mission is what it is. I'm not looking to just be successful. I'm not looking to just help people be successful. I'm looking to impact and change lives and push people into orbit or beyond into space, away from gravitational pull, away from all the negative stuff where there's problems all over the place coming at you, where you can select your own problems to solve.
How's your relationship with your father?
Now I don't get to see him. It's not my choice. I did rekindle it. Probably, I don't even know, 10 years ago, I rekindled it for a little while. And then there's a particular person that gets involved in, similar to the way the businesses you were just talking about a little bit before, I have no control over it. I don't have any, I have no hard feelings. Today, if I saw him, I'd have a beer with him, eat dinner with him, just like old times. I'm not the type that holds grudges. But that's just the way it is right now. And unfortunately, that is the case. Maybe he'll hear some of these podcasts or read my book and say, "Hey man, maybe I should come around." And, but I don't wish this on anybody. I hope anybody that has relationships can work them out. God knows I've tried, but it is what it is. I'm using it now as fuel.
100%. And it's one thing, certain things you can't control. Like you said, you're in a situation you can't control, and you obviously have the right intention that you're hoping that one day things will manifest and figure their way out and it could be a part of your life. But I am a strong believer in life is short, and you don't want that time to elapse, because I always hear individuals come up to me and like, "I wish I said this, I wish I said this," when somebody does pass away. And I'm a strong believer in you take the time when they're alive and appreciate them. And I did a post the other day, if you look at my feed, about my dad, and you want to be able to do as much as you can when they're alive and not live with regrets after. So like I said, everything happens on its own, and you'd hope that the universe will collide and one day you'll have a relationship with your dad. Do you have children yourself?
Yeah, I have an 8-year-old. Yeah, I have an 8-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old son.
Yeah. So it's time short. So it would be, obviously there's circumstances, and I'm not going to obviously tell you what to do, but having their grandfather, getting to know and grow their grandfather, I think is very important. Like I had my kids and my parents live about half an hour from me, and I'll drive down just to have a coffee for 5 minutes with my dad, because I appreciate the time with them. And I always grab my kid. I got a 14-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son, and I love this past Sunday we're just at my dad's house and we're just going through albums of him in the Army, and my son's going through all these pictures, 12-year-old, and that's Grandpa Joe with the monkey, and that's Grandpa Joe with the tank, and it's those moments are so precious, right? So
so let me fill you in on something. There was a guy named George when I was 11 years old that married my mom. And he stepped in. It was
funny. I heard this story, and I was going to ask you to talk about it. Let's say I bring it on. I love that story. Go.
Yeah. So he stepped in when I was 11, when I needed someone at the time. I was going through, getting ready to go into the puberty and becoming a man. And he stepped in, and George was the kind of guy that was a black and white, What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. Do good, good things happen. Do bad, bad things happen. He didn't have a lot of money. He knew how to stretch a dollar. And he was kind of quiet until you get him talking about something he was passionate about, like football or baseball or hunting or crabbing, like what we do in Maryland. Yeah. And man, if you said something like that, man, he would jump off a couch and start going crazy, talk just deep voice, man, get up in your face, like, yeah, let's, you know. And it was passion, man. Like you could feel the energy. And, you know, he taught me how to have a catch or, you know, play catch or whatever people say with baseball or football. He taught me about sports. He was always at my games. And he was not my dad, like not my biological father. And my sister took us in like his own, man, and was reliable, consistent. And, you know, when about, 2019, January 2019, he came out of the woods hunting and it was snowing out. And he texted my brother Casey and said, hey, I got back to the truck because he was hunting by himself and he wanted to make sure we knew he was okay. And then 3-4 hours later, we didn't hear from him. And so my brother went looking for him, couldn't find him anywhere. My mom ended up calling the police and they basically told her that they found him, you know, hunched over in his truck right in the parking lot there because he had had a heart attack. And so that was in January of 2019. And man, I tell you, like a week after that, my brother and I both felt this feeling. And guys, by the way, before I explain this, I don't expect you to believe it. I don't expect you to experience something like this. I'm just telling you what happened to me and my brother. We felt this spirit or energy enter us that I never had before. That I was like, you know, I cannot be stopped now. Like as far as like my mission now, I'm going to see how far I can take this thing and be known globally and beyond, because it's so important to get this message across to people. And I never wear out. I never get tired of it. It's this weird energy. And so his spirit lives on, his consistency and reliability I'm going to be passing on, and I'm going to make sure that I honor his memory because of what he did for me as a young kid until I was about 41, 42 years old. And by the way, Jeff, at the time, I wasn't ready to necessarily go without a mentor. Now I'm ready to mentor other people, but I wasn't ready to go without a mentor. And right about that time, I ran into Grant Cardone, which I don't know if you're familiar with Grant or not.
Of course, yeah.
I read the 10X rule prior and I was like, holy cow, this guy's talking to me. My brother read it first and he said, hey, this guy sounds just like you. You should read this book. So I read the book and I'm like, whoa, this gives me validation. I've always had this animal inside of me, man, like this like killer mentality in a good way, like go after it. Like if anybody is not understanding you, tough crap, they got to figure themselves out. You keep going and doing what you need to do as long as you're ethical and you're trying to help and be good, you know. So gave me validation, right? Yeah, gave me validation. And George was like that too. And when he passed, then timing was perfect. And I ran into Grant. I immersed myself in his content and just from afar was mentored by him. And then I eventually started making relationships and building relationships inside of his organization, his president, my friend Jared Glant, and then just continued to participate and invest in his programs and get my team involved. And it's just changed our lives so much. That feeling that it's given me, I want to share that with other people and be able to provide that feeling to other people now.
Yeah, he's one of the best at what he does, right? He's globally known. And he's just he's a powerhouse, right? So yeah, he's a great person to have as a mentor. Besides him, do you have any other mentors right now?
I try to stick inside the same organization. There's a guy named Brandon Dawson and Richie Dolan, who are both, and then Jared Glenn as well, the president there. I try to stick with those guys because they cover pretty much all of my bases. Yeah. And I don't want to get a bunch of conflicting information. So I've been using basically the information I've been getting from them and sticking with that. And it's worked for me. And I'm sure at some point I will need to move on. And I don't think I'm ever going to like stop needing a mentor. Yeah. Because I'm knowledge hungry and thirsty.
You're always learning, right?
Well, by the way, I was street smart for so many years. I kept hitting the ceiling though.
Yeah.
You know, I feel that street smarts is the most important thing to get you started because that's where the action and the hustle is. Yeah. And if you have knowledge, you don't do anything with knowledge unless you take action. Yeah. So that street smarts I had first, but I kept hitting the ceiling. And I couldn't figure out, man, why can't I bust through? Like something's stopping me. And then I just started reading and I became aware of things. And I just became obsessed with learning and mentorship. And all of a sudden I just broke through. And now it's really a feeling of being unstoppable. And I want to get this to everybody else. So
yeah, I'm a strong believer. To say the day you stop, you always hear that saying, the day you stop learning is the day you die, right? So you're constantly learning, constantly growing and doing stuff. We got the camera going here.
yeah, buddy, I got to get you on the Instagram stories.
I
It's
love it.
important to promote the people that help me. So
I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's dive into your book. You said your book's coming out in February. Let's talk a little bit about that, the journey, and how did you write the book yourself? Did you have a ghostwriter? Let's just talk about the journey, because I'm going through the process right now too, and it's an interesting process, because I got a publicist, and we're going back and forth. It's been a long journey to get this put together. Did you do it on your own? Did you have a publicist? What's the journey with your book?
well, first of all, I think that nothing that you do that's super and fantastic and excellent is done by yourself. I'm a big firm believer in people and helping people, or getting people to help you, and using them to where your weaknesses are, or to buy time from people. So yes, I have people helping me. I have a publisher, I have a marketing team, I have PR, I have I would call not a full ghostwriter, but somebody that, when I write something or I give them content, they help me and work me through it and make sure the book's flowing.
So you're going through the same process I am, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing. When I did this, I want to make an impact, but not only that, listen, impact's important to me, but I want to be a bestseller.
100%.
There's like, I'm not going to do something and not try to go for it. So from the start, everybody that's joined my team, I tell them, listen, this is what we're doing. We're writing a best-selling book.
Yeah.
If you're not on board with that, you need to go find someone that wants to write a book and just wants to write a book. That's not my mission. My mission is to inspire, be globally impactful, and be a bestseller. And you can't be a bestseller you can't be impactful to the max amount of people unless you're known. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I've gotten help, man, and it's a fun journey. It's a roller coaster ride. I'm sure you know this. And there's times where no content comes into my brain, and then there's others where I'm flowing like, I don't know, like Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls, kind of. When did you start the journey?
The book.
When did you actually put pen to paper or start the whole process? Has it been a year ago? Like, when did this whole all start?
I would say probably 2000. When I actually started just writing, I wasn't sure I was writing a book. I was more journaling.
Yeah. That's exactly how I started too.
Yeah, I was journaling for years, man.
I journal every night. I still, to this day, every night I'll grab a pen and paper. I have a little book, and I'll just put my thoughts down, or anything I've learned that day, or something I want to remember. And I've been doing that for years and years, and I've taken a big chunk of my book from those journals.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Yeah.
And then probably about a year ago when my podcast started, I actually started, actually getting serious about and taking action on putting it together. So,
so you have the release of the book hopefully in February. That's our goal.
Yeah.
And the name of the book for everybody to know?
Rocket Fuel. And
you said you had a pre-sale coming up?
Yeah. Actually, here, I'll give you the link. Everybody can go to it now if they want to. It's not officially launched, and we didn't, but people want to go on there.
I'll put on all our show notes as well.
Yeah, they can check it out and look at it and buy right now if they want to. But they also get 30 days for your listeners. They're going to get 30 days free access to my Rocket Fuel course, which is all about proactive resiliency. Yeah. And let me explain that to you, and I'll give you the link after that. But this is very important for people to grasp. In life, if you have something that you want, the life of your dreams, you want to accomplish something, whatever it is, it's not the encouraging people that stop you from getting there. It's not the wins. It's not the success. It's not when you're feeling good. It's the negativity, the people talking shit. It's the setbacks, the letdowns, the bad days where you don't feel like doing it. All of that is what stops you. Now, if you can not just eliminate those things, but actually convert those things into rocket fuel, first of all, you can't be stopped, one. Yeah. Number two, you blow past people that get stuck in all those negative things. And so you have a leg up on the competition right away. You dominate, and that's what it's all about. And so this course and the book talk about that and teach you how to do that. And I'm excited about getting that into people's hands and just changing people's lives. And so the book link is www.MikeCiorroc, C-R-O-C, MikeCiorroc.com/book.
We'll put that all on our show notes as well, and put it up on our social media feeds and stories as well for you, brother. I'll do that today, actually.
Thank you.
So with everything that's happening right now, I always talk about your spouses. How's you are married currently?
Yes.
How's your wife? How's the support from her, and how impactful is that with what your journey is? Because I know my wife is a massive impact, because she doesn't. We talked about it before we went on air. She doesn't really get involved, but she's very she's very supportive. She's supportive from far back, and she's always just, when I need her there, she's there, but she just takes a seat back, and she's very independent, which I appreciate. So how's your wife's impact on yourself?
Yeah, my wife is similar. She's not very needy at all. Not that that's bad if somebody's needy. Don't take it the wrong way. But she handles her business. She encourages me. If I say, hey, listen, I need to spend 10 grand on this thing, like this mastermind I want to go to and hang out with Grant and be around him and listen to what he's saying. I want to spend 10 grand on that. She's like, do what you got to do. Yeah. And if I need something written, help with writing something or read over. She's very supportive. She takes care of the kids. I do a great job because she's a real estate agent, and I do a great job myself. I will say so myself. She tells me this, that filling in when I need to. Like, if she's got something going on, we coordinate our schedules and communicate. Communication's the key.
How long you been married for?
17 and a half years.
Same as me.
Yeah. So we're
September, not 17 and a half. September 20 was 17 years. How old are you?
I'm 43.
Me too, 43. What year you were born in 77? When's your birthday?
77, February 7th.
We're both Aquarius, January 25th.
Oh, cool. Okay, so we're right in that same range,
man.
Goal,
17 years.
So my birthday is always around the Super Bowl, which is this year. I think it's actually on the Super Bowl, which is cool.
Yeah. Mine's fallen in the Super Bowl a few times.
Yeah. So nah, man. I mean, my wife is, she's younger than me, which is cool. 5 years younger than me, but she's fantastic, and we have great kids, and I'm blessed. Now, I don't like to say I'm lucky because it takes work. It actually took work to find her, took work to date her, and took work to get her parents to allow us to get there. It took work. So I don't like when people say I'm lucky, but I am blessed, and I am, seeing the results of our labor.
Everything in life takes work. Everything in life takes work. Mike, it's just how much effort and how much time do you want to put into it to see the gratitude from it, right? So.
And you have, you have 2 kids? I see your picture in the background, 2 kids?
My daughter just started high school. She's 14. My son's my purpose. Everybody that knows my story, my son's my purpose. He's 12 years old. I'll give you a little rundown. My son was born in 2008. And when he was born, a little quick story I'll throw it into just to give you something about myself is he was born. We spent the first 4 months of his life as sick kids. He was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. So he was granted to be into a wheelchair, and that was what the doctors put him on. And I automatically talked about it. Some people would have sat back and played victim. I did the opposite. I obsessed where I'm going to make this kid walk. And I obsessed. Love it. And I'll give you another little story. My mom had found these little cowboy boots at a used store, and they were very stiff and hard. She goes, maybe this will help. And my mom gave me these cowboy boots, and there's a rec center near my house, and I used to spend hours and hours on my hands and knees. People used to walk by me and think I'm crazy, walking up and down every single day, and the heaviness would force him to lift his foot up, and I taught him how to walk. And eventually from walking, they put AFOs, they put braces on. They said he had braces until he's 18. This past September, so a year ago from this September, he's out of his braces. He's getting ready to run his first marathon. If you look at my feed, the left-handed pitcher, he's 95 pounds. He's throwing 54 miles an hour as a left-handed pitcher. And his brain, how wise he lefty is, his brain was damaged when he was born, and his brain reprogrammed himself. And he's learned how to do everything with his left. This kid works out every day. He's jacked. If you see this kid, he's jacked. Go to my story feed. He's jacked.
Unbelievable.
But the thing is, the most important, he's the sweetest, kindest little angel in the world. This kid will not go to bed or wake up every day in the morning. The first thing he has to do is come give daddy a hug and a kiss. And he's my purpose, my guy. Everything I do is because of him and my daughter as well. But my mindset is I always focus on the 3 to 7. So 3 to 7 o'clock, I'm home every single day. And for the last 10 years plus, I've never missed a dinner with my kids. And everything, my schedule, and I own, like I do vacation rentals. I own a company called Comor where I manufacture boxing martial art equipment for 15 years. So I have a whole bunch of companies, and everything I do is honestly is built around their schedule. I put their schedule on my schedule first, and everything is built around that. And that's why a huge passion of mine is connecting fathers and entrepreneurs together and figuring out you could have balance. You could have everything you want and still have the time with your kids and stuff like that. So that's a little rundown. Because there was a story you said prior, and it was just clicking in my head because anything you put your mind to, you could do. And my son's 100% proof of it. And I look at my son, honestly, and he's done blood probably 1,500 times in his life. He's done surgeries up and down, and And I look at him every time I got to take my blood, or every time I'm working out, I look at him like, I could do an extra rep. My freaking 12-year-old does it. And it's funny because we actually work out together. I actually work out with my son. We lift weights 4 times a week together. So if you look at my feed, you'll see pictures of him, stuff like that, and videos. He's my inspiration. So being a father and being a good father is so important. So I appreciate what you're doing too, because obviously you sound like a fantastic father as well. And you have
thanks, man.
a lot
I love
of
it.
you're
Great job.
buddy.
That's
I appreciate
fantastic,
it, buddy.
man.
I appreciate it, buddy. So there's a couple other things I want to always ask is, with yourself, business-wise and all that stuff like that, what other ventures could you see yourself? Because there's so many different angles you could go with this, right? With your courses, have you ever done public speaking?
Yes, I did. And I'm going to be going hard with that as soon as we get back up and going. And virtually I've done tons of it.
You did, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. And I already did one in Miami since COVID. I did a little
You did, huh?
thing down in a boot camp in Miami, and I got working on something in Vegas coming up. So yeah, I love speaking, man. And the other thing, I have something on the works right now. It's an app, but I can't get into a lot of detail about it. But the app, it's going to be phenomenal. I can't even believe it's one of them things where you come up with this idea with some people, and you're like, we got to do some research because somebody else has got to have this already. And then you find out, and it's like they don't. I mean, something's not right here. This is too good to be true. And so it's something like that. But I know already there's a market for it. I know already that people would be all over it. And I'm just excited to do it. And
are you guys in the beta testing process? Like, how far are you guys into the process already?
Well, right now we actually are just getting ready to start getting a minimal viable product put together so that we can go start pitching it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I already know it's going to work. I believe it's going to work. Not just saying that.
Will it be under the same umbrella as everything else you're doing, or would it be something totally different?
Yeah, it has to do with entrepreneurship and self-improvement, things like that. But yeah, I wish I could get into more. I got to keep my mouth shut, though.
No, all good.
Yeah, but I'm fired
up.
So
when's the first time you stepped on stage? I always ask everybody because I find it very interesting because everybody has different reactions when they step on stage, because public speaking is hands down one of the most fearful things for most people to do. So when you stepped on stage, was it a natural moment for you, or was it those butterflies? How did you react?
So first of all, fifth grade, when I was 5 in my kindergarten graduation, I emceed the whole graduation.
Love it.
When I was in high school, I did all the morning and afternoon announcements, and I always wanted to be in communications. I didn't go to college for that. I went to college for business, but I always wanted to do those kind of things, and I did them. And I just don't give a crap what people think. So that helps. But the thing where I felt like I was sweating or felt nervous and I'm like, oh, is when I wasn't prepared.
Yeah. 100%.
And then also when I sit there and I'm looking at the audience trying to figure out what they're thinking. I don't do that anymore. So, but I've been talking in front of realtors for I don't know how long now, teaching realtors how to grow their business, helping them market, teaching them that so that they can send their clients to us. So I've been doing that for years. As far as this part goes, actually talking about these kind of things, it's only been virtual except for one, maybe two occasions where it was live because of COVID. So
you're naturally you could tell you're a very good natural salesperson.
Well, I think that I've been in sales since 1998 too, but actually probably since I was 8. I used to sell golf balls on a golf course. So, but now, I think that I've been around so many broken people that I've been trying to help people see like something that can help them. And when they couldn't see it for themselves, and a lot of times in sales is leadership, by the way. Leadership is influencing, 100%,
right? 100%.
So if leadership is influencing and sales is influencing, sales is leadership.
Yes.
So I think when you have a natural or something that you've worked on in leadership, then you can sell pretty much anything.
Yeah, I always tell people, if you're going to learn one thing as a teenager going through high school is learn how to sell. I mean, once you learn how to sell, everything else seems to come easy towards you. Like you said, leadership, being confident, being able to sell yourself, whether you're doing an interview, you're selling anything, everything you need and everything you do almost every day has some form of aspect of a sale to it. So I think it's something I always even preach, like it's something that should be taught in high school as an actual curriculum.
Helping people make decisions.
100%, 100%. There's a couple questions I always ask everybody. If something were to happen to you today by your closest loved ones, your family, in a few words, how would you want to be remembered?
Well, first of all, I would want them to know or to say that, I showed them greatness inside of them that they didn't know they had and put them on track to go get it.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the main things I would really want them to say, is that he believed in me, So I think that's what it comes down to.
I love that word, believe. I mean, there's a lot of people that utilize that word, and it's something I love that word. I got made for my kids, and it's actually a post like 2 years ago. I got this. There's this. We went by this. It's almost like this art gallery place, and there's an artist there, and he was making these handmade signs, and it said "Believe in yourself." And I actually got one made for each of my kids, and I put it outside their bedroom right over their door. And this is a little 2.5 years ago. And I always tell them every night before you go to bed, look it up and believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no one's going to believe in you. So I love that part. I think that's such an important lesson for people to do is instill that in their kids, just to learn how to believe in themselves, which is so, so important. One thing you talked about too is with public speaking and having that confidence and being able to, even you're saying when you're emceeing, when you're young, stuff like that, I think that's something also that a lot of younger generation needs to focus on as well. It's just going to build more leaders. I have a little quick story too. My daughter reached out to me 2 years ago, and she's like, "Dad, I got to do a little public. I got to do a speech in front of my class," and she was so nervous, and
Yep.
and she's a little hustler, and she was so nervous. And I said, "You know what? You're going to do it." And I helped her write out her speech. We did everything, and I said, "Listen, you're going to keep doing. And I made her every night in front of me, my wife. She would do it in front of her grandparents and all that stuff. So she ended up doing it. And then from there, she actually won her class, and she went to do in front of the school. She won her school. She ended up going to she ended up out of 1,800 kids, she finished top 3. And it was all about building confidence, right? And now she's like, she'll talk in front of anybody, right? So I think it's such a cool thing that you're doing at such a young age, because a lot of people don't understand how important that is. Next question is superpower. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
I think it's the thing that bothers me the most is when people have the answers in front of them, or have somebody in front of them showing them to do it, and they don't listen and take action on it. And if I think that's not really a superpower, I guess it's maybe mind control. But that's something that drives me batty, and I just can't, I really can't understand people sometimes. But I'm working on that. But I think that would be the main thing. I would try to get that, because I know that, like we talked about, believe in what you believe you can achieve, right? So if you can get people to believe in themselves and that they can accomplish things, then sky's the limit, man. Or actually space is the limit.
Very, very cool. I appreciate you coming on, brother. Is there any lessons you want to, I always ask you, is there any lessons you want to give our audience, a quick little lesson about something?
My rule number one, I keep telling them over and over again, is to turn all setbacks, difficulties, negative people, and letdowns into rocket fuel for your future.
Yeah.
That's so powerful, man. And when you become unstoppable, that confidence that comes in, nobody can take your keys to your success, to your journey. Nobody can do that when you have that. And that's powerful.
I love the metaphor of that, taking your keys. I love that part. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate everything you do, brother. I'm excited to see your journey, because there's obviously a big future ahead of you, and there's a lot of things happening. So I'm going to put on all our show notes how to get a hold of Mike, his book pre-sale, his podcast, his course also, and all that stuff like that. And thank you so much, brother. Is there anything you wanted to say?
No, Jeff, thank you very much. Much gratitude for allowing me to talk to you and share with your audience. And go get the book, Rocket Fuel, Mike C-Roc, C-R-O-C, MikeCiorroc.com/book. Don't forget, go get it. I promise you, you will not be let down.
Love it, brother. Love it.